If you're thinking of buying a pre-sale versus a resale home, but not sure how to make that decision, we're going to review the pros and cons of each so you can make that right decision. I'm Greg.
And I'm Liz.
We're the Holmes real estate team here at Macdonald Realty in Surrey, helping people buy and sell homes in Surrey, Langley, Fraser Valley. We'd be happy to chat with you. Send us a DM, but let's get into it.
Let's start by explaining what presale and resale homes are.
Yeah.
Presale.
Presale.
What's a presale, Greg?
Pretty simple. Presale homes are homes that are being sold by a developer before they're actually built. That's pretty simple, right?
That's right. Yeah. And a resale home, that's buying an existing home from a current owner.
Yeah. It's a physical structure that somebody is living in or has lived in, and you're going to come along and take a look at it and physically be in that home. That's the difference between the two. So let's talk about the pros and cons of the pre-sale market.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's start by talking about the pros of the pre-sale home. First up, lower initial costs. When you're buying a pre-sale unit, you typically have that deposit of 5%.
Mm-hmm.
It might range 5% now, plus another 5% in 3 months, and another 5% 3 months later, up to around 20%. But then you don't owe any more money until that closing date, which might be 5 years away.
Yeah.
Right?
Or 3 years. Who knows sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, another one would be time to save.
Yeah, so since these completions take a long time to get to that completion stage, that's a great opportunity for buyers to save up money over time, so they can have their money in other investments, and that's making money by the time they actually come to completing on the purchase.
Yeah. Customization and new features. So
this is my favorite, Liz.
Yes.
Customization and features. That's why people buy brand new, right?
Yes.
So that they can paint the colors they want.
Yeah, they get different kinds of flooring. They might have like a color scheme, so they can pick like light scheme or the dark scheme. That's what you can get when you're buying new.
Carpets versus laminate, right? I mean, obviously a lot of these have upgrade costs associated with them, but if that's what you want, you buy it before the deadlines. There are often deadlines where they say after this date you can no longer make changes, but if you're buying early enough, you can make all those changes that you want. Now, the one thing to be aware of is that they don't give you carte blanche of picking options.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they might say, there's like option A and option B, but you can't choose all these different kinds of appliances. They might be like, it's this kind of appliance or that brand, and that's it.
Here's your base, here's your upgrade. They're not going to allow you to go off the grid, right? And buy something from Costco, for instance, and put it in. They're going to say, these are the two options that you get, right?
That's right.
So another benefit of buying a pre-sale is low maintenance and warranties, right? So typically when you're buying brand new, they haven't really established a big budget yet. There's nothing really wrong with the property.
Mm-hmm.
So they have low monthly maintenance fees. That's a big reason why people buy brand new. They don't want a strata with high costs. So that's one. And the other is the warranty.
Mm-hmm.
Buying brand new gets you the full 2, 5, 10 warranty on home. That's actually another video we would do at some point. It's talking about brand new home warranties, but you often don't get that on a resale unit. And finally, potential appreciation. If you're buying something today that doesn't complete until 5 years from now, if the market is rising, by the time you get to completion, the value of your condo, which you haven't even finished paying yet, you haven't completed on, has already increased in value. And that's a huge benefit for people in a rising market. So buy now, complete later, and watch the market appreciate the value in the condo for you.
Now, here are some negative impacts of buying a pre-sale home. There's uncertainty in the completion.
Yeah, the delays, right?
Yes, delays.
Delays are common in buying brand new. If you buy early in the process, they have to wait until a certain number of units have actually been sold in order for them to move on to the construction stage. Yeah. Even in construction stage, there's often delays with materials coming in on time. In the last couple of years, we've seen delays with even things like appliances, fridges, with the metal and COVID and kind of wreaking havoc on getting products and materials in here. We've seen delays for that. World events have caused delays, so that delay is a big uncertainty in buying brand new.
Yeah. So you just have to make sure that you're not expecting it to be a certain day or month, because it will probably end up being a different time.
Yeah.
Potentially later than what you expect.
Yeah, it's rare that it's moving sooner, but it's certainly more common that they need more time. Mm-hmm. So market risks is another con of buying pre-sale. So while the market might appreciate over time, there is that very real risk that market conditions churn, it softens, and by the time you reach that completion day, the day where your mortgage starts, the value of the condo is now worth less than it was the day you actually purchased and bought that contract years before. Another challenge with buying pre-sale is mortgage approval challenges. So the rates right now at today's time are going to be different than the rates in 3 years from now. So you might have a pre-approval that gets you locked in place, that you're very comfortable with the monthly mortgage payments today. Yeah. But if rates shoot up, and listen, it wasn't that long ago that we were dealing with much lower rates, and now they're a lot higher. So as people get close to completion date, they're needing to be requalified based on these new rates. And if their wages or their income isn't reflective of it, it's going to make that mortgage pre-approval or approval process difficult.
That's right. GST and extra costs. So when you're buying pre-sale, there will be a 5% GST that you have to pay on that. And that's an extra cost that some people, may not want to pay. So
yeah. When buying brand new, a lot of people see the price and they think, oh, that's not so bad. Mm-hmm. But they fail to recognize that there's often a 5% GST added on top of that. Now, on the MLS listings, there is a marking that we know as realtors that says whether GST is applicable or not, but it's just a tiny checkbox. So most buyers would have no idea. They go in thinking, oh, I can afford that. And then to be slapped with an extra 5%, well, that's not just a little bit of money. That's a substantial amount. Mm-hmm. And that's often what makes it unaffordable for some people. So they need to know when they're buying pre-sale that GST is added on top of that, unless it's indicated that it's already included. But for the most part, it's to be added on top of that.
Yeah. And buying unseen. So when you're getting a pre-sale, you're looking at a piece of paper. Maybe it has just the floor plans and the colors, and you're like, this is what I'm buying, but I don't really know what it's gonna really look like. Sometimes they have a show home, sometimes they don't. If you can't visualize it, sometimes that's hard for people to kind of make that decision to buy pre-sale.
I think it's probably the biggest challenge is when people buy brand new, they're buying a piece of paper. They can have their creativity working to see what it's going to look and feel like. But so often when you go into a show home, it's in a different building. Sometimes it's in a trailer. Sometimes it's in another building entirely. With high ceilings, right? It's a warehouse or something. So when you're in it, it feels bright and airy, but really there's only 8 or 9 foot ceilings. So when you move in, it's like, oh, I don't remember it feeling this, tight. It's because in the show home, it wasn't that, And the other thing is buying brand new, these floor plans that you go when you go to a show home, they often only have one floor plan available, but they're selling up to 10 different floor plans. So they might say, well, this is the color scheme and the look and feel of the home, but the one that we have here for you to walk through is just a 1 bedroom, but you're buying a 2 bedroom. So there's that risk of uncertainty of exactly knowing what you're going to get because you're not physically in it.
Yeah. Also, when you're in a condo, like if you're going to buy into a condo and you're in a high rise, trying to figure out like the height, like where are you going to be looking at? Are you looking at another building across that's going to be built as well? So those are all things that you just can't really picture or imagine. But you know, sometimes that's the risk that you take when you're buying resale.
Exactly, and the height. You know, how much of a view are you going to get? Are you going to be above the other building? Are you going to be way high? Are you going to be able to see the mountains? Is it a peekaboo view of the water? All of those things you don't know when you're buying brand new. You can, again, use your imagination, but that doesn't always mean that's what's going to be in reality, right? Let's talk about the pros and cons of buying resale homes.
Right.
Here are some positive benefits when buying a resale home on the market. Immediate move-in. It's the number one reason why people want to buy today or buy a resale home is because they can get the keys right now. And by right now, I mean a couple weeks, a month, maybe 2 or 3 months at the most, right? There's no waiting years to get the keys to your place. So this is really applicable when someone needs to move. Maybe they're moving for, they need more space, a growing family, and they need to make that move right now. That's the time that they would want to buy a resale home.
Yeah. What you see is what you get. So, you know, when you've looked at the home and then you've put an offer in it, you know that in a month or two, it's going to look the same. You know what the neighborhood's looking like. So you know where the school is or the amenities. I mean, there are some places that are developing, but for the most part, what you see is what you get. So that's a really positive thing about being in a resale home.
Yeah, I really think that this is an important factor is that community that you talked about. When you're buying a pre-sale, you don't know, it's often the whole neighborhood is new as well. But buying resale, you know how long that walk to the school is. You know the shortcut to get to the shopping mall, right? You know how big the trees are because they've already kind of grown to their full height. They're not going to throw extra shade on the property or anything like that. So it really is a big thing being able to buy now and know what the community already looks like, right? You can see yourself, you know, living in that home right now, right? Another pro at buying a resale is more negotiation power. So developers are often known to have sticky prices, right? They rarely negotiate. Now, as realtors, we look for those opportunities to find the negotiation in a pre-sale. But generally speaking, by far and away, you definitely get more of a negotiation power when you're buying a resale because those homeowners living there, they have a reason generally to put their home on the market and sell, right? They want to move out into a new neighborhood or, you know, they run out of space, right? So they relocations, that sort of thing.
So they're motivated to move and, you know, they're willing to work on the price. So then that might help you quite a bit.
Yeah, so you don't get that when a developer has 15 units for sale. You might say, well, we know that they're going to go. We don't have a hard timeline, but that timeline of a resale owner is generally much more rigid and sooner than a developer's time. Right.
Established neighborhoods. Well, we already kind of touched a little bit on that before, but established neighborhoods are, you know, just knowing where things are and, you know, like your grocery stores and everything. Like you just know where you're going to go, where you can walk, bike, things like that.
Well, and you know, another really good thing about that is about transit. So one, in an established community, you know, they already know who needs to take transit. They already have bus routes coming by, right? In a new neighborhood, people are moving in. The population numbers are often not there yet, so they don't have good transit options. But, you know, in an area where it's established, the bus is already going, you can, you know exactly which bus routes you can take. So that helps a lot of people planning to buy because they know, oh, I can catch this express bus. It'll take me to here. And there's no wondering, like, is that bus route going to happen? It's there. It's happening, right? And same with schools. Another big one is in a pre-sale environment where it's a lot of new, there's not a lot of houses built yet, is that amenities that you mentioned about schools.
Right.
In an area that's already established, the school is there. Kids are going to that school. When you're buying pre-sale and they say, hey, there's going to be a school here in a year or two, well, guess what? That can change with a different government based on economic uncertainties, right? And that school that's planned to be there in a year might get delayed 2, 3, 4 years. Maybe it doesn't even happen. And a lot of people buy because they expect that that school or amenity, right? Rec centers, hockey rinks, that sort of thing would be in place, but that can change.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And no GST. Well, who likes paying GST anyways, right? But when you're buying a a resale unit, you do not have to pay that GST. It's already been paid by the original homeowner whenever that happened. So that's a big savings. And that's one that you can look at the price, know that it's resale, and know that it's not going to go anything above. There's no additional GST on that property.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there's the rare instance where there might be a GST if there's like a major renovation or something, Greg.
That's right. GST does apply in significant renovations. I can tell you in my career, Liz, we've never come across anyone that has paid GST on a resale. It has to be a substantial renovation, almost right down to the studs and being rebuilt before GST is applicable. So it happens, but it's rare, right?
Well, here's a list of cons of buying a resale home compared to buying a pre-sale home.
Yeah, I mean, the number one con is that higher upfront costs, right? I mean, if you're buying a home, you're going to complete on it in 3 months from now. That means that your deposit is due when you remove the subject conditions, typically about a week after you write the offer. Your down payment is going to be required at time of completion. So that balance of, up to 20% or however much your down payment is required, generally speaking, within 1 to 3 months of the time you wrote that offer. So you do need that money right then and there. You're not buying a home unless you have that down payment already planned out to be paid within that short period between the subject removal and the completion date.
Yeah.
So.
Another downside of buying resale is you might be having to pay like potential repairs or maintenance. But, usually what's going to happen. Like, for example, you might buy a home and you know that you have to get the roof fixed within like a year or two. So, you can start saving up, but it's a bigger investment. So you're going to be spending that kind of money on the repair of that or maintenance. Hot water tanks, sometimes they go and, then you're like, oh, got to fork over the money for that. So, older homes, sometimes you're having to spend that kind of money on that.
I mean, and that's pretty common too, right? I mean, we're not necessarily even talking about like a really old home or anything like that. But if you want something that you're like, you love the layout, but the kitchen needs a refresh, right? Whether it's something as simple as appliances or paint, I mean, there's still costs associated with that. Those unexpected costs that you mentioned, like a broken down furnace that might happen a week after you take the keys. The air conditioning might go on the fritz, hot water tank. They're all costs. Like, welcome to home ownership, right? When it's a resale unit, things go wrong over time. It's a lesson that I've learned. Whenever you own something, be prepared to pay some bills for it too, right?
Bidding wars. So sometimes when you're in resale, you are going into multiple offers versus in a pre-sale, you're not bidding like that, typically. But if it's a nice home, well priced, there's someone else that's looking at that home too, and then you might be going into multiple offers.
Yeah, I find typically with resale, because people have done things to their home, they've made it a bit more unique. Even just like furniture, people put in their custom furniture, high-end furniture, colors, anything like that to really make it stand out. When it hits the market, if you got a couple of buyers looking at it at the same time, bam, you're in a multiple offer scenario. They don't have another home down the block here to sell like a pre-sale. They might say, well, if you can't get unit 9, you can go out and buy number 11 or something like that. If it's one that's a hot property, shows well in a seller's market, you're likely to find yourself bidding against other buyers, which is pretty stressful for buyers. So special strata assessment. So when you're buying a resale unit, you're not just buying the condo or the town. This does apply specifically for strata, right? But you are also buying the building. So if the building is facing some repairs, things like fencing, patios, balconies, siding, painting, even where they're saying, hey, we're going to need everyone to pitch in a little bit and help us pay for these costs, that's could potentially lead to a special assessment. So it could be a small assessment, a couple $100, could be a big assessment, several $1,000s. Typically, you do see those in resale units, but you would not see those in a pre-sale because it's brand new. There are no fencing repairs or deck repairs because it's a brand new unit. Yes, so that is definitely one of the downsides of a resale.
Yeah. Time to ask the question, which one is right for you? Are you willing to wait?
I mean, that's the big question. Is time on your side, right? Is if you need to buy now, without a doubt, resale is better. If you are an investor and you are looking to wait and save up more, well, then maybe pre-sale is an option for you. How comfortable are you with market fluctuations? If you think the market is going up and you're hedging your bets that if you buy now and complete in 3 to 5 years that the market will be up, then pre-sale is an option. If it makes you uneasy about the risks that includes, resale could be the way to go.
Do you prefer customization or a ready-made home? So if you like to be able to pick the colors and ahead of time and you want something just totally new, then pre-sale is the way to go.
Yeah.
But if you want to be able to, if you looked at the home and a resale and you even like what it is, well, then you're happy. Then you're then that's perfect. Then resale is the way to go. Or if you envision something for that home that you want to do a renovation or something like that, then because maybe it's bigger size or something, then resale is the way to go for that.
Handyman specials. We often hear that, right? Someone who's looking for a project where they can do something themselves. They're particularly handy. They don't need a developer to go and build it for them. Then that's where a resale opportunity could present itself, right? And finally, do you have flexibility with financing? If you buy now, do you have that ability so that if rates change, you're still able to complete in 5 years from now? If you don't have that flexibility and you want that certainty of here's my rates, here's what my monthly mortgage payment would be. I know I'm working. This is how much my income is. This is how much we can get for our home. That certainty, if that's what you're looking for, resale, where you can buy in the next 1 to 3 months, is a really good option for you. So both resale and pre-sale homes have pros and cons associated with each. The right choice depends on your goals, your timeline, and really your risk tolerance, right? Yeah. So if you're thinking of buying a pre-sale or resale home in Surrey, Langley, Fraser Valley, you're interested, send us a DM. We're happy to chat. And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.